Welcome to Monday with McCove. We are at the end of October already. It's kind of crazy for me to think that we're this close to the end of another year, but here we are. And so Halloween is this week, and I know there was lots of Halloween festivities this past weekend. And it can be kind of a controversial topic. I heard some really sad stories this weekend about Halloween. About Christian response to Halloween. And so I just wanted to share my perspective. Because of the roots of Halloween, we don't celebrate Halloween. I think dressing up is great. My kids always had the option to dress up whenever they wanted to. Dressing up, pretending is good. But just for myself, like I look at where things come from, not even so much where things come from, but just what do they teach us? What do they have to say? And but I guess with Halloween, I do have a harder time separating like where it came from. So the whole idea of trick-or-treating came from like spiritual bullying, really. It was the Druids going around and harassing the people that give us what we want, or we will do bad things to you. So like I can't really separate where that comes from. Like, is it fun to go and get candy? I guess to me it's not. Like, oh, I'd rather go to the store and buy candy that I actually like if I'm going to get candy. And the whole get so much candy that we can't deal with it, and I don't know, just none of it seems fun to me. But I'm not, just to start over, I'm not telling you what you should do. I'm telling you what I do and why. Just you can get to know me a little better, and yeah, you can get to know me better. You can know why I do what I do. So we've never done Halloween. We've never gone to get the candy because, like I said, just none of it seems fun to me. Like I said, if I want candy and a special treat, and go get what I like, not a bunch of random stuff. And I guess to me, like as a person of faith, not doing Halloween versus the world that doesn't know any better and doesn't have a different standard doing Halloween. It still has very, very dark roots, and I believe there's still a lot of very dark stuff that happens around Halloween because there's those people that take it seriously from where the roots come from. And then I guess the other thing with it is like there's so much in our culture of just partnering with fear and death. And so like zombies are a popular thing, or making skeletons cute, and ghosts and witches friendly and fun. And I see the element of not wanting to make kids afraid of those things, yet at the same time, some of those things are real. And in Christ, we don't need to be afraid of them, but we do need to be aware and do know that they have power and it's real. It's not cute, like a cute ghost or a cute witch in a cartoon kind of becoming like Wile E. Coyote in the cartoon. Like he gets smashed and killed over and over again, and it doesn't matter. It's a cartoon. So what the witches are doing doesn't matter. It's a cartoon. It's not true. Satan does have power, and he does encourage people to use it because people want power. We were designed to be powerful. We just were designed to submit to God's power and authority and use that. And Satan has a counterfeit, and it attracts people because they want to be powerful. So I think there's danger in that, and that's my take, where I come from on that. Would love to hear feedback and more questions. I'm all for redeeming. So like carving pumpkins, we do that. And of course we do it at this time of year because that's when there's pumpkins around. But we always used the story of, I think it's called the Pumpkin Patch Parable. super cute book about how God chooses us, like we choose a pumpkin, and first he has to like open us up and clean all that gunk out of the inside, and then he places a light inside that shines out and encourages others. So I have no problem with that at all. It's redeemed, it's sharing the gospel rather than the message of fear and hopelessness that a jack-o'-lantern traditionally carries with it. So I'm all for redeeming things and saying, like, Satan, you had that for too long, we're going to take it back. But like I said, some of those things of glorifying witches or death, like, I just don't see how you redeem that in the way that our culture is doing it. So, trying to, sorry, share my, check on my toddler. What are you doing? Okay, you can't get a different color while I'm on my call. You just have to clean that one up and wait for me, or play with that one. So I'm trying, I would really love to have questions come in and be able to share help and encouragement on what you guys are struggling with, but I don't have any today, so I'm trying to get better at sharing stories of that I'm walking through a lot of the same processes you are. I just have more experience in it. And so for that to be an encouragement that I understand where you're at, and I also have some tools to not stay there. So like to know what you think of that. So so this morning when I had some quiet time, I recognized that I was feeling selfish. I'm leaving next Tuesday to go to Florida, which is wonderful to leave Alaska, though we've had a gorgeous fall. It could be the middle of winter and it's really not. It'll just barely be winter, but still wonderful to go to Florida and get some sunshine. And I'm also going to get some training for furthering my coaching and just following where I feel like God is leading me to go with my coaching. And so I'm really excited about it, and felt very clearly that God told me I was supposed to go. And I think I talked about that in another live, but just really stretching of like, I don't know that I belong there. I don't know that you've called the right person to do these big things. And I just felt like I was supposed to go and overcome these fears and break out of the mold of how I see myself, and to be able to see myself more like he sees me. But this morning I was feeling selfish that like I booked the tickets so that I would be at my best for the training. So I have a day of downtime before and after. And so that makes it so that somebody needs to get me to the airport in the middle of the afternoon, which is usually what my husband wants to do. And that means more time off work. So it's like, oh, that wasn't very good. That was kind of selfish. Getting home late Saturday night and needing to serve at church in the morning, or deciding, do I pass off my responsibility? And then I feel really selfish. And so just, but recognizing that while I'm feeling selfish, it doesn't necessarily mean I am being selfish. And so recognizing the emotion, just step out. You are out, silly. You want it on? Well, then hand it to me so I can help you. I can't put it on you when you're laying down. So I think in the past I would have looked at, oh, you're feeling selfish and you're not being selfish, so just dismiss that emotion and just ignore it. And I'm learning that's not what we need to do. They always have a message for us. So in this situation, what is feeling selfish telling me? And you want this back on? Use words instead of fussing. No. Yes. So in this case, it was telling me that like it's old thought patterns. It's the childhood emotional neglect showing up. Well, then get your baby and I'll help you get it to stay. Paying attention to yourself and setting things up to work best for yourself. No, you're not getting those down. You can have your Play-Doh. You can go back to your dollhouse. This isn't coming through very well. Do you want to come up and sit with me? Stand up. Whoa. Are you going to snuggle or are you going to watch? Both? Yeah. We didn't get your hair out of your face this morning. Nah, this is ending up really long. Sorry. So instead of dismissing the emotion because it's not reflecting God's truth, to see what's the message. And so there's the message of it's an old pattern to feel selfish when you make yourself a priority. It also might be indicating wounds, and I didn't have a lot of time to process this morning, but didn't feel like there was any specific wound. It was just kind of that general neglect of not making yourself a priority. You're not getting anything else right now. I told you what your options are. But then also highlighting some lies that come out of that of I need to be sure everything is good for everyone else rather than making sure that it works for me. And obviously there's the balance to not touch of doing both. Like we're in families, in communities, it needs to work for us and others. And sometimes that's at the expense of someone else, or sometimes we have to do more compromising than others. But hang on just a second. You can play with your Play-Doh or go out and play with your dollhouse or look at books. If you keep causing troubles, I'm going to stop and spank you. So the next, and like learning, sorry, this is really disjointed. So I had the memory of the confidence that I had when I scheduled and why I scheduled it the way I scheduled it, and that I was supposed to be there. What? So had that confidence to contrast with the feelings of selfishness this morning to kind of get bearing on what's true and where is this coming from, and then what do I do with it. And so since God told me to go to work on how I see myself and all of that, like those lies highlight more things to work on of how important is it that I take care of me and get the most out of this training, or whatever. I'm not getting anything else out. And then this is going really long, so I'll try and share this other story quick. And this is from my journal this morning too, because when I got well, just in my quiet time, when I sit and get quiet with the Lord, I often feel like crying. And I have learned through the years that there's lots of different sources for that crying. And I've learned just by asking and sitting with him and being like, what is this? And so this morning was another one of those mornings where, I've learned to recognize it a lot and to be able, like, this is the Lord's presence, this is sadness, this is, I don't know, nothing else coming to mind at the moment. But this morning was a time where it was just kind of like, why this morning? Why again? And so that was how I started my journal. I feel like weeping again. What is it this time? And I felt like he said was that it was that I was feeling behind with no hope of catching up or making the right choices. So obviously under some lies. there. And just feeling like, I'm leaving in a week, and so there's house stuff to do ahead, there's business stuff to do ahead, there's just getting ready to go, all the different stuff, along with everything that I feel like I'm behind on my house and family. And so I was kind of asked him, like, okay, so what do I do then? Because, like, obviously this isn't true. This isn't a place I can function from. And so he said to go back to your values and your priorities. Decide what you will do. Decide where to ask for help, and decide what to say no to. And that, like, is a big one, because there's all of these things, and some need to be done, some I want to do, and some would be cool to do, or whatever. So obviously I have to say no, because there's way more than I can do ever. And there's way more than you can do ever. So then just went through the process and, like, what are my values? And I felt like he told me congruence and faith. And so congruence is a geometric term, at least in some ways, where if you have two shapes that are exactly the same size, when you get them so that they perfectly overlap each other and it just looks like one shape, then they're in congruence. If they're offset, they're out of congruence. So having, to me, the idea of congruence is having what I say I believe and how I act like I believe match. And obviously I'm never going to get that perfect this side of heaven, but that's my goal. That's what I'm aiming for. And faith. Without faith, it's impossible to please God. And that's my highest desire, is to please him. And so there has to be faith in everything I do. And that's different than my priorities. And my priorities, what I wrote down, was faith, family, and coaching. And then quickly realized that I'm not even on the list. So I still have some growing to do. Like, I'm learning to take care of myself, but I wasn't actually even on the list. So then he told me that I was doing faith now. Like, I was spending the time with him, listening to what he had to say. And then he said, make sure to take care of yourself and your family before the coaching. So look at, what do I need to make my day go well? What does my family need? So that for today meant starting a pork roast this morning so that we will have something for dinner, and making breakfast, and getting my daughter dressed, and getting myself dressed, and, like, stepping back and what do I need to be okay before I then go on and try to take care of coaching stuff, which can be endless because there's always more that I could do. But that's kind of where that faith comes in, that I do what he tells me to do and it will be enough. And then one other thing that he said that was encouraging to me, because, like, if I go in, we've got feelings and they tell us things. So my feelings were telling me that, like, it was hopeless, a lot of regret, a lot of condemnation, and that those emotions had information for me, like realizing I needed to get some truth, I needed to get some perspective, but they're not emotions that I want to make choices out of, because if I was making choices out of those emotions, I would, like, be sitting on the couch eating chocolate and ice cream and binge watching movies that made me cry or something, because, like, I just want to sit on the couch and be warm, and obviously that's not going to help with the being behind and not getting things done. But that's, if I was going by my emotions, that's more what my day would look like, instead of going, okay, these emotions are telling me I need things, so let's go to the Father and find out, what do I actually need and how do I proceed? And so what he said was, rest your mind, move your body. So to stop all the trying to figure this out, and what about this and what about that, and all of the mental, I'm cleaning the Play-Doh toy, this all of that mental stuff, like, rest that, but move my body, and not like I need to get up and exercise or go for a walk, which I'm sure would be good for me, but just the get off the couch, start breakfast, start dinner, pick some things up, like get moving and move on to the things that need to be done. So hopefully that made sense. I felt like that was super scattered this morning. But I'd love to hear from you. Love to hear how you deal with your emotions, what questions you have about, separating that from here's what I feel, but what do I do with it, in faith and in a healthy way. And as always, you can email me, you can leave me messages, comments here. If you are interested in working with me, I have options for hopefully everyone that would be a good fit. I've got group programs as well as one-on-one, and more courses on the way. And hopefully you're reading Mess to Majesty and being blessed by that. I would love to hear about that too. So have an awesome week, and I will see you later.
Who is that?